All right, I need to defend Asia Wilson for a second on this one. Asia was a guest on the Roommate Show, which is the Knicks podcast with a bunch of the Knicks players, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, most notably. And she was there, discussed a bevy of issues. I'm sure more clips will come out. But one of them really took off on social media. And this can happen often on social media. And you have to be careful. People will take the text of what is written and, in a headline and quote tweet it and comment on it without actually watching the substance or gathering the context. And as someone who is constantly putting together stories and constantly writing headlines, something I'm very careful about is trying not to misrepresent something for the sake of clicks. Look, I want to get clicks. There's no question about it. So I want the headlines to stand out. I want them to be as interesting as possible, but I don't want them to be inaccurate or completely sensationalized. And I'm not saying, she didn't say that the WNBA players have the toughest schedule per se, but the question she was asked, and it came from Josh Hart, ended with Hart saying, do you think all the things considered, the careers of WNBA players are the most stressful and strenuous? And people took that because of the headline that was written about it. And you see the lower third there, do WNBA players have the hardest schedule of any athletes? Of course they don't have the hardest schedule because their offseason is forever. So just the WNBA schedule is not the hardest. But when you take the full answer in context, it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like for us, like we don't have our rookie orientation is not like anything too crazy. It's literally like obviously like a day before the draft and you're sitting there and you're talking. But it's like we don't get to go work out for teams. We don't have a combine. Like it's literally like
that's so crazy.
Like you literally go from college. I remember it was like I went in, I got drafted. I literally did training camp and I came back to college just to walk to graduate. And then I had to go play my first preseason game. Like you don't have time to even like, I remember Jackie was just like, I had to get my draft dress in a matter of a day. And I'm just like, there's no way one of the biggest nights of my life, I have to like be rushed. It's insane. So yeah, I would have to say our schedule is pretty crazy. And for us, we had 6 Olympians this year. So that's like half our roster gone. And while other teams may have their whole roster, so they can like train, they can
practice, hoop, do all
like
that.
go on vacation, they can rest. So like it's a lot, and I'm surprised we did what we did this year because it was just a lot of just stuff going on. And stuff is the Olympics, but still stuff.
Like imagine just finishing your season and going and playing another season. Like you don't touch a ball for
right.
After the season, I don't touch a ball. I mean, this year I was hurt, but I didn't touch a ball for like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
So the Olympics part, I don't really get because that only happens once every 4 years. So whatever. But the rest of it does make sense. The turnaround is nuts. I mean, we just saw Caitlin Clark go from playing in the NCAA championship game to being drafted to being on a WNBA floor to playing a WNBA season. We all saw how nuts that was. And she's not the first player that went through that, obviously. It just was on a bigger stage and more high profile. And you heard Asia detail her own experience and Jackie Young's own experience. We're constantly talking about Unrivaled. And why does Unrivaled exist? Because WNBA players have to play basketball, the vast majority of them, in the offseason to make a living. And before the charter flights, they had tough travel too. So I didn't really think it was fair the way people dunked on Asia for those comments because I didn't think she said anything totally out of pocket. May not have agreed with every word, but I understood the spirit of what she was saying.